Okay, fuckos, if you can dox me off this, stay the fuck off 4chan. Now, it was probably funnier in the first take. Sorry, David. Today, looking at refused guards, one of my most hated things, and I hate that it's such a problem for so many people. I hate that it's such a problem because it kind of is just so trivial. But it isn't. They're a pain in the ass. You have refused guards like Fools or like big fucking Silver Open. And then you got refused guards where they're point forwards, kind of like a Silver Staccato or like a sword next to hip kind of vibe. Yeah, that. Fucking every humorist ever position. Fucking old. Now, alright, so working and looking at that position, you can see how close David and I are. This is fucked close. This is Shredder. This is Mom. Right? Like, we're at Shredder right now. Right? This distance, Mom. It's even here. Fucking big, mighty old Shredder. So the fact we're already fencing at this distance is a shambles. But let's pretend that you don't have a choice. We get into a nice fencing position, we're here, and then we get into this. This is that quintessential HEMA distance. God, do you need to know what Shredder and Lager is, but fuck, I can't fix that. Can I get you to drop your point down low? Cool. Notice that, like, we're not actually at the distance where I can hit his arm, like, using my arm, but I'm at the distance that I can Shredder hit things. This is as close as you can get when people do refused guards. So, down low like that, up high, out wide, retracted, right? All these positions. As you're this close, if I start reaching at your sword, he just starts fucking swizzling, right? That's fine. I'm going to steal some data from Tybalt, and I think Capaferro also mentions it, but I just remember Tybalt. Point at their fucking hilt, or just below it, and then slowly encroach upon. If David goes to a Fool's Guard and really low, there's a cool, and his hand is really active, this gets actually a little easier. Because then I can just point at the strong, or even just here-ish. Because any actions he goes to do, go to do a beat. It's a bit awkward, right? You have to do 2 actions to actually get that fucker online. If I point at the sword, he can just beat from there. Quite comfortably. So I point at the hilt, and then he goes to beat from there. It's a bit fucking clunky, and you can play off it. Nice and high, very silver. Cool. I point at the hilt or even the arm a little, and I just encroach upon. Right? He's going to have to trigger it eventually. At worst, and like just go from below. Same thing's happening. Just encroaching through. Eventually, you can make the swords touch unless he starts giving weird tempos to still negate the sword touch. Go up high. Boom. Right, I can just point my fucking sword at his hilt already strong. No matter what, it's going to end up coming into my sword. If he goes for a nasty beat, and I just only point the sword at his... If I only point the tip at his sword, his beat can't fuck me into oblivion. Right? That's not a bad thing to happen. If I try and put a parry behind it while pointing at it, so I'm actually drifting across laterally to like, I won't let you blast through, then he goes to beat my sword, that's gonna fuck my position. More than ignoring the fact he could throw a harsh beat and just pointing at his sword. Yeah, that was awful for you, right? The aim was harder for me. Go low, try and do a nasty rising beat. Yeah. just keep pointing at David's hilt. Cool. He goes to use that tempo to then gain distance, then go for squirrely shit. Pointed, boom. You can just keep playing off it by pointing at the sword. Nice and high, and you're trying to get me to attack so that you can be very mindful of what's behind you. Come forwards. Cool. You're hoping that I just do the attack and you slip backwards and hit my arm. Right? Like a very quintessential fucking moron play. Boom. Brilliant. Big brain play on Brad. The trap's already kind of squashed, hey? Because you go to attack anything that isn't, right? I point at the sword. Anything shallow is behind the hilt currently, even if I have a crooked wrist position like this. And I get to take that tempo and play off it. Refuse low. Boom. You're hoping that I do this, and you're going to smash my forearm while jumping backwards, right? No, from below. Chink, right? Brilliant. And again, I don't know how to deal with this. And then I attack and you hand parry while doing it, right? Boom. Brilliant. And if you can cut the forearm, you can stab the belly. Same opening, same space. Just target acquisition. Point at his sword, I can even just move only my tip. That kind of wrecks the whole thing, hey? Yeah, you're going for those fucking hand parry entries as well. And because I'm pointing at here, you're well, I can't hand parry, it's near my sword. And then I start getting, for free, blade contact on sword, and I can play off it. Right? I can just I don't camp out. I am actively changing my distance without giving a tempo. And I'm playing off it. But I'm also letting it take a while. These entries fucking suck to deal with. The fact that they're playing the refused position, you've got to go fuck yourself a little. Just because you're better doesn't mean that you can do it casually. It's just what you can do seems casual, but it shouldn't feel casual whatsoever. Can I get a full retracted here, right? And you're really fishing for that fucking arm parry. Really trying to fish for that hand parry to disrupt. Cool. So off this, I'm just kind of and I'm waiting for those tempos of committed action, like the sudden hand parry or the hand parry off the step. And then you play all things that you do with your tempo play and revert to just normal fencing suddenly. Yeah, right? You kind of don't want to do a refused guard now. Yeah. Because once you... A big thing for refused guards is that for a lot of people it's their only play. People like to feel like they're winning. So, for refused guards, you don't want them to feel like they can hit you. I mean, you kind of do. But they're really emblematic of this kind of dichotomy of you need the player to feel comfortable enough that they play, uncomfortable enough that they double guess things and worry. You need them to feel like they're winning enough to give you something that you can win against. Because if they don't feel like they're winning enough, they start doing weirder and weirder shit, and they will intuitively go to places that you don't want them to go. So the refused guard, you don't want to counter it so hard that they don't know what to do with their lives. Don't make them worried about their ego getting hurt or anything like that. There isn't a, oh, they're in this guard, so you just win by doing this. No, it's actually the most not like that position. And that's why a lot of people really intuitively go towards it and develop into it. If you counter it in a way that they feel intelligent, smart, brilliant, sharp, by going, oh, you're making my refuse guard more awkward, well, I'll just bring my sword up because that ruins your counter. And they feel good about it. And then all of a sudden they're touching your sword, or they're putting it in a non-dipshit place, and you're like, cool. Oh, cool. I don't need to deal with you putting it in fucking clown places now. Great. Brilliant. David intuitively did not want to do a refused guard and intuitively didn't want to do hand parries because I was countering it not by hitting him, but by making it feel like he was winning some small battles and winning intelligently by joining me where I kind of actually would rather him be. So watch it again. We're going to play very slowly, and I want you to watch the positions that I take and what they intuitively make David do. So he starts picking this low position. His goal is that I attack through here, and then he can do beautiful things. Brilliant. Galaxy Brain players. If I go, like, yeah, I'm just fainting at Stretta. We should know better than that. But if I just put my sword forward here, you can hit my arm, can't you? Almost? I think you can. I think I can. Oh, I think I'm very lucky. Actually, I think you could stab in my hand.
If I get real close to your tip.
Yeah, I think you could Stretta stab my hand like an asshole.
Yeah.
Right?
If I carry out.
Yeah, if you suddenly do that, yeah, something like that, easily. And that's just me going, oh, well, I'll right angle and try and do this. Or you'll even do that attack, pull my parry out, go through my blade, or double disengage, right? Yeah. Right, here. Oh, and I just throw myself out of position.
Yeah.
Here, you can't get the hand parry. You can't get the blast through. Can you? Right?
I can try here.
Brilliant! Yeah, and during that searching action, I can play off that. Maybe you go for the hand parry off it, or maybe you go for the hand parry off. Plenty of coherent fencing occurs.
Gentle and hard to get strong.
To move get you strong from nowhere near fucking anywhere intelligent to somewhat intelligent is actually easier for me to deal with.
Yeah.
And if you continue to ignore it, I can just at worst.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got coherent fencing suddenly. He came up and met me because it's like, okay, this doesn't feel like I'm countering anything anymore. The second he doesn't feel like he's countering it, or that him meeting me in coherent fencing counters me, he feels intelligent, and then he goes to normal coherent fencing intuitively, intelligently. And you're inspired to. It feels good. Come up closer. This is the first time I've spoken about it. We're going to pretend this is succinct. Your feelings and thoughts while I was going through that. What did you experience? Was there anything I didn't signpost? You're like, oh, this thought occurred. Come forwards. There we go.
So, as something that you can't see here is that as you're pointing at the strong, the amount that it is fucked I don't think it translates to this angle.
Yep.
Because in order to do those beats from this angle, I bet it would probably look, just beat the sword.
Just beat the sword.
But if the opposing sword is along this plane, you then have to pick a side to go to, and so you already have to add an extra action to get around to do that beat. And like you can try going straight up the blade, but what does that get you? It doesn't get you a beat, really.
Yeah, it
Right?
becomes a 2-tempo action.
Yep, and that's what you want.
Yeah, I want 2-tempo actions out of you because it's easier to deal with.
Exactly.
What else?
Yeah. There was a second thing. We're pretending it's the same, so it's okay.
Vibes.
Yes. I forgot what the second was.
You've dealt with me doing this to you in fencing.
Yep.
How does recollections of experiencing this feel compared to other answers or other ways people come in when doing it?
Don't yell off the balcony at me. I'm recording. I'm recording. I'm keeping this in. It's funny.
We're getting food.
So, you've dealt with me fencing. You've dealt with me fencing.
I've dealt with you fencing once or twice.
Yeah, right. And doing this, but also you've seen me do it when fencing other people. And I don't know, what am I not remembering that you definitely like? What the fuck was this whole chat?
I mean, the part that's important is that it's the exploitation that you get from using a refused guard is that someone crosses the distance where they can just get one hit pumped for free,
Yeah.
and you can leave and giggle about it. This approach literally puts a yardstick between you, and you have that as a minute millimeter reference for how close you are, and both people are very fucking aware of it. So just pointing at that strum gives you a much better innate measure of distance.
Yeah.
And if you've been working on your distance control, you have that control as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you can use your strong and weak relationship in this tempo and in the next tempo or even in the next, and understanding that to help with your distance control of the two people. So it really ties strong and weak to distance in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
The other thing that I've seen is that a lot of people might answer this approach with is, oh, I'll just lift my quillions into your weak, collect your weak, and then hit. And from this angle, it looks like that's a reasonable answer. But with the angle this way between the swords, here, if I try to lift up and catch it with my quillion, not only am I spending 3 years of my life trying to line that up, I'm also providing targets while doing it, and then my hope is to then hopefully reach out through it. And you just saw there 3 answers to any of that.
Alright, the last one, can I get you overhead St. George life and you're just trying to like chop down on my arm? Right? Cool. So, if you've gotten the idea from the previous, sitting in that tall position actually should suddenly look fucking stupid. Right? As long as my shit here does things. Right? And I can just encroach upon it. And it starts to make, like, maybe you want to do a beat, right? Yeah, that's a cute beat there. But it doesn't really beat me, hey? It kind of inspires me because you need to do a beat that puts you somewhere terrible.
Yes, and because like when I move wrist breaks, then your
Yeah.
furniture is pointing in. Because you're intending to point the furniture that way, because the way it redirects the furniture.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully this like shows why this feels like a trivial puzzle to me. But it is really hard. Yeah, you don't get to just insta win. You don't get to go, oh, you do this, I win. You go, oh, if you do that, I need to now oblige it and go, yeah, so if you sit in that, I'm just gonna kind of fuck with you. And if you ignore me fucking with you in that position, I'll hit you. But there's like a bit of, alright, I'm gonna fuck with you, you know I'm gonna fuck with you, if you ignore me, I'll hit you, if you don't ignore me, then you'll be doing something vaguely fucking useful, if you do vaguely useful fencing, I'll hit you,
You've described fencing.
yeah, right, if you ignore me and do vaguely not helpful fencing, well, I still hit you, if you oblige me but do weird shit, you're probably getting hit. Yeah.
Yep.
Alright, hopefully that fucking helps. Yeah, hopefully that fucking helps. Oh, I nearly pressed stop recording, but I forgot. As you've seen, I'm doing a fucking Patreon, and it means the absolute world to me that people want to put money towards it to make sure I can keep fucking doing this and like function doing it. I'm very thankful to all of you. If you do have ideas of things that you want me to go through, comment them. The Patreon will be in the description of this. These videos go out 2 weeks early on Patreon, then they get released onto YouTube. Any tier on Patreon can see my shit. You don't need, and like they all mean the same, it's just whether you have spare money or not. I don't want to paywall things or time wall them too harshly by any means. Thank you all so much. If this wasn't enough and you struggled with this, or you're like, oh, okay, what? I'll give it another crack, tell me.